Welcome to Learnery channel, and today we'll be taking a look at Abba and Praise video on this one, the title Toy Gun. And if you are new here, do well to show your boy some loves. It keeps me going. Please subscribe. Let's get into it.
Preach, you had something that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I want to show you something. I want to show you something.
Nah, again. Nah. Bro, that's a Nerf gun game. Look at y'all fiending, bro. Y'all fiending. Like nothing in here, gang. That's a Nerf gun game. Come on, gang. Bro, that's my phone, bro. No, that's not my phone. Bro, come on, bro. Game, bro. Game.
Gold is correct.
Nah, bring him back to the park. We'll take him back.
So I think this kind of, from what you are seeing on the screen, this kind of maybe the mom posting the should free his son.
In the park for what?
Okay, saying that he had Nerf gun, not like a ray gun. Okay, let's see.
Park for what? Nah, gang. Nah. Y'all taking him in for a Nerf gun?
The first thing I think, either the parents failed or he didn't listen to his parents. That's my first thought. Because I think, like, from a young age, me and my mom had, my mom and I didn't talk at all when I was a kid, but I remember distinct conversations about how to behave in regards to law enforcement and what you can't do. And especially as a black person, like, that was a common thing. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you can't walk around with a gun, a toy gun. You couldn't pretend. Don't hang around the wrong people who are clearly doing drugs or selling that shit. And so, knowing all these conversations, him walking around with a gun that looks like that, it just, to me, is like, I understand young people are gonna do dumb shit, so that's fine. But I think that's a bit beyond the pale of running around with a
Yeah. Because why would he be going around with like a toy gun that size and everything? And why?
replica-looking gun.
But they're
especially
nerfing.
in a country where
Do you know what nerfing? Do you know what nerfing is?
Is it when you go around shooting other like gang members with guns?
No, nerfing is when you're so old.
Yeah. But there was a story. You know what? There's a story where a bunch of gang members were shooting each other with paintball guns.
Yeah, but you know it's when they have Nerf guns and they're just play. A bit like cowboys and paintball or BB guns. They're playing that but with Nerf guns. So that's what it is. That's what they were just nerfing.
Yeah.
And people would say, well, they're just playing. Why are you tripping?
I mean, I think it's just a very honest one. We all grew up with a bunch of cases. Tamir Rice is a great example. Kid playing around in the park with what appears to be a toy gun, 13, 14. Cop rolls up on him in 2 seconds, shoots him, guns him down. Now, of course, I don't think that Tamir was guilty. He's a kid playing with a toy gun. But unfortunately, we just live in a society where, first off, as a man, already people are going to look at you completely different when they don't know if it's a gun or not.
And the thing is, he's not like a kid that you can say, okay, he doesn't know, like he's just playing around with a toy gun and having a toy gun around. But it's def, like in his teen age, like it starts from somewhere. Like you get to control it at some point. Like he's coming from a family, and you as a mom, if you know or not, like it doesn't matter at this point. But it should be controlled to some point. That having that kind of gun, even if it's a nerve gun, at some point it doesn't sit out right depending on the society you find yourself.
And then secondly, being black, like there's an extra level of like, so I would never count
And being black again, that's another.
kids. Like even if I adopted kids, let's say I adopted a beautiful little Korean baby. Like maybe he's ugly, who knows? Maybe he's never gonna make it in a K-pop band. But he's my little Korean baby. I'm gonna teach him the same concepts about guns and stuff like that because just as men in general, you kind of just view it as a threat. So you just can't afford to say I'm a kid. It just don't work like that, and it's just not worth the risk. So unfortunate because we should live in a world where you can, but unfortunately with gun violence and all the things that are involved,
Yeah.
there's a lot of kids here who shoot each other.
Yeah.
How many times do we hear stories about young kids doing these like 3D printing guns and blasting other kids?
The ghost guns.
And when your guns look very close, even when they don't, I wouldn't recommend it. But when they do, I can't say nothing.
And the thing that happened is that some people in the comments are like, yeah, but you're Canadian. You people first don't even know what's going on here. You guys don't know what's going on in Canada. You don't see that we have gangs, we have gang violence, we have consulas, and we have other kind of gangs that are going on in the streets and are shooting each other. And when you're that old, you have to. There's an age, unfortunately, where black kids become a threat, or they look like they become a threat. You go from cute to being a threat. And walking around with a gun, no matter what color it is.
No matter what color, no matter what type, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sit well, just like I was saying, depending on the community you find yourself.
Like some people are going to argue that, oh, well, there was not the orange tip on it. Depending on what angle the orange tip is from the people you're aiming it at.
Yeah.
Depending on what angle you have, I'm probably not going to see that tip. Pause.
And you're talking about kids.
Yes, big pause.
Imagine like someone seeing it from afar, you pointing it to someone that it doesn't. The person will tell that it's a toy gun or it's a nerf gun or anything.
For example, I mean, I am into guns, but you do gun customization all the time. It's not It's not something that is rare to see that you see different colors on guns. So the fact that a gun was golden or yellow, whatever, doesn't matter. I've seen gun that color. There's guns different colors that are in plastic. Glocks for the most part in some kind of polymer that is plastic. That's besides the point. Sometimes from afar, the gun is not going to look like a gun, but it's going to be a real gun. And sometimes the
Yeah.
real gun's going to look like a toy gun, and the toy gun's going to look like a real gun. That's besides
Yeah.
the point. Is that at some point you cannot just be out there with someone that even looks like it. I don't know. If
Yeah, there are some things you don't play around with. There are some things you are taught not to play with. Like no matter what it look like, even though it's fake, even though it's never gone, even no matter how it appears, there are some things you are supposed to be taught like not to play with to that point. I don't know if the mom or the parents or the guardian know about it before now, knew about it before now, but he shouldn't find himself like possessing such kind of thing, even though it's fake, even though it's never for real.
it's because my parents traumatized me enough. I remember one time there was a phone case. There was a phone case that was really like it was a phone case normal, and it was a gun. And you put it in your pocket, and it looked like you had a gun. That's a bad idea. That
Yeah.
is appetite for destruction. When you said it's either he's not listening to his parents or his parents failed you, I agree.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like you see, like we learn some things from growing up as a kid. There are some things you do, and if it's not corrected at some point, at that point, you are just innocent as a kid doing those things innocently, like without knowing the consequences or what problem or what problem it can actually take you into, or what consequences that can actually come with those things. And if those things are not corrected growing up at that certain point in time when the kids started behaving or started putting off such attitude, it goes a long way to affect those kids blending in the society or
At some point, your responsibility because your kid is not gonna think or see past what the problem was. I was just playing. We ain't
yeah.
doing nothing bad. You're not gonna think about the consequences.
There's a comment that someone wrote. They said in the live stream chat, they said, they're not 12, they're not minors. And I always find it fascinating how quickly someone's no longer a kid, depending on the nature of the offense. Right? Like if I come out tomorrow and say I'm banging a 14-year-old, y'all never gonna say, oh, they're not minors.
Yeah.
You're gonna say I'm a pedo and everything under the sun.
100%.
So if
Yeah.
that same 14-year-old does something idiotic, which most teenagers that age do, then you're gonna say they're not a minor. And it is fascinating how, like, Dave Chappelle has a joke about how old is 15 really? I love that joke because he points out to a real truth where, a young kid can go out and engage in violence, and apparently they have the wherewithal, and they should be tried as an adult and given a maximum sentence. And then on the other hand, if a 15-year-old's dating someone who's 20, then it's the end of the world. They have no wherewithal. They can't make any decisions. And it's fascinating how we often treat adolescents as adults when it's convenient for us, when we want to punish them, but when we're actually in a situation where we should have that same attitude, we don't engage in it. And I don't want us to treat 15-year-olds like adults. But all of a sudden, the moment they do something violent, especially when the look of the child,
Like exactly treat 15 years old, 15 year old, treat 13 as a thing. Like it should be like that, not making it favor or not making it go for you or against you when the thing is on your side.
isn't the right one, then all of a sudden they're an adult.
Adult. They're
And,
not
Yeah.
and they have like studies on this, how like black offenders often get charged as adults much more often than white offenders, right? And it's just like there is these biases that we play into our heads about who's a threat, who we should punish a little bit more. And I'm just not very fond of that. I'm not very fond of that kind of stuff. And I think people are very dishonest with themselves when they're pretending like there isn't some racial or gender-based bias. Okay, there is.
Because with women, sometimes they're always kids.
Yeah.
They're kids until they're kids no more.
So-
But man, depending on what they do.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You guys know me now as an adult, and you guys have known me like from 27 onward. As a teenager, like I'm on my business. I be at home. I go to work. I go to school. Well, I don't anymore.
No, definitely not.
That's not true. Yeah, I go to school on them red pill niggas and I clown them. But outside of that, I don't really do
You mean
anything.
take them to school?
Yeah.
But in order to take them to school,
But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All right. Don't try to clarify my bar.
I could care less.
Now, when I was a teenager, like that was a phase of my life at 15, 16, where I wasn't a good kid. You get into fights a lot, you get arrested, and my parents had to come get me out of jail. And it's like, it's an embarrassing, especially from an immigrant household where it's like now seen. There was a lot of those problems, okay? And thankfully, afterwards, after 18, get in the military, sort my life out, work on those anger issues. I never had problems with violence after that, and I'm very happy to stay away from that part of my life. But the idea that somebody would have looked at me at 15 and try to judge me as an adult, when if you ever put yourself back into those shoes of being a teenager, we were all we were all doing really stupid shit.
Yeah,
Most of us
no-
have stories of times where like,
That's what I mentioned earlier. Like there are some things you do then, like if you are not corrected, like if we know our mates, they were maybe the parents or the guardians or fortunately didn't see to correct them, like it goes a long way to play a part in the life they tend to live when they grow up as teenagers and adults.
I probably should have died that night. And the idea we were going to look at that period and we're always going to just pick and choose whenever that 15-year-old's an adult or not, it's very bizarre. Because if we're honest, we were, I mean, I was for a long time, but that period especially, like you're full of hormones, you're not thinking anything through. I don't know. I just don't like the way we afford grace when it's convenient when it comes to like sex-related
Yeah.
stuff. But everything else, you're apparently old and mature enough. So you're mature and old enough to like manage anger and violence, but you're not mature enough for any sex, even with people the same age. I don't know. To me, it's just a bit stupid, these standards. And I'm only here today because they treated me like a juvenile and I was able to turn my life around. As an adult, I was
Yeah.
given the chance to actually man up and be mature, and I took those opportunities. But you guys don't want to afford some kids that same opportunity for your arbitrary double standard.
Okay, like please and please, if you find yourself in a situation where you got to correct some situation, whether for your younger ones or people around you, just do it to do it for you. To them accountability and teach them like how to be responsible for their action and what those life and what the place that we are, the ways that the path they are going to can affect them in future as an adult. So I would like to share. I would like to hear your thought too. Do it to comment it and we see you later and do it to like, share and subscribe and see you in my next video. Thank you.